Erased Destiny 2, The Knower. Chapter 5, Conspiracy. Bookworms was located northwest of Sintra, about 2 hours' trot, so Merigold reached it in 40 minutes on her Pegasus. The first person she encountered was a man lying in a ditch. Using an illusion, she added years to herself, especially in her bust and butt, and then crouched down next to the man, who was surrounded by the stench of alcohol.
Can you hear me? Are you okay?
I was okay till last month.
Man replied, rolling onto his side. A jug of liquor was clutched in his hand. His face was covered in fresh bruises and scratches, and his clothes hadn't been cleaned in a long time.
My name is Merigold. I work at the court. I've come to investigate the strange behavior of the guards.
It's about time. Maybe you'll get to see them throw the innkeeper out on the street. Oh, wait. That was yesterday.
Why are the guards acting like that? Who are you?
The commander of the guard stationed in Bookworms. I was. Until the elder fired me. Overnight, for no reason. He said I had grown old and that someone else would be better suited for the job. The new commander is called Clemens. If you want to find out anything, start with him. Or with the elder lictor?
Merigold thanked for the information, healed the man with her magic, mounted her Pegasus, and rode into Bookworms. The first thing she saw was a square where stocks had been set up. 2 men in shackles looked like guards, which surprised Merigold more than the sight of the drunk former commander. Etienne counted 7 houses around the square, a dozen or so in both directions, plus a few more a little further away on a hill. In total, about 100 inhabitants and stocks. That was really uncommon.
Are you going to take care of it yourself?
Could you help me a little?
The embarrassed girl whispered, because she had no idea how to go about explaining the assigned case.
How much is a little?
Without waiting for Merigold's answer, Etienne approached the chained convicts and asked,
Who are you? Why were you treated like this?
We were guards. We didn't obey the new commander, hence the imprisonment. 5 days of punishment. At night he lets us go home.
Where can I find this commander? And the elder?
The elder is at his house, the one on the hill, and the commander walks around the village. He asks people not to go outside, that there are bandits in the area, that it is dangerous.
Etienne went to the elder first. She considered whether to settle the matter quietly or with a bang. Slightly bored with her current existence, she chose the latter, and an open confrontation with Clemens and all the guards who obeyed him. The house looked decent. It had new shutters, a nice fence, and well-kept flower beds by the windows. Enough reasons to make Etienne think it was awful. Especially the neatly trimmed rose bushes growing by the windows seemed out of place. The front of the house looked small, but it had exceptionally large cellars and 2 wings hidden behind fruit trees. Etienne didn't let Merigold analyze the unusual architecture of the building for long. With her golden eyes, she spotted 2 people inside and entered without further ado. The house seemed cozy, but also overly clean. There was no unused equipment in sight. Not a grain of sand littered the wooden floor, and not a single streak was visible on any of the windows.
Who are you? This is an intrusion.
Lictor's wife, who was washing the dishes, looked questioningly at the visitor. She didn't know whether to put down the dishcloth, or if the guest had the wrong address.
Knower Merigold. I came here from Sintra regarding the intimidation of the residents of Bookworms by the guards. When did the intimidation start? What form does it take? Does it affect a few residents or everyone in the village? Which of the guards?
Wait a minute. What intimidation? Nothing like that is happening here. There must be some mistake.
Who is in charge of the guards? Since when?
The serious, somewhat threatening expression made a better impression on people unaccustomed to any form of violence. The elder began to stutter, and his wife hid in the pantry. accompanied by a wet cloth and a previously wiped bowl.
Clemens, C. 7 days, I guess.
Who appointed him and why? What did the previous commander do wrong? Why wasn't the change reported to the superiors in Sintra, according to the decree on military service?
The calmer and more emphatic Etienne spoke, the more Lictor cowered. He tapped his shoe on the floor at regular intervals, which could mean a call for help. Etienne was glad that the obliging man was saving her the trouble of searching for her opponents. She decided that in the case of an armed attack, she would escape through the window into the orchard and send the demons to meet her enemies.
That is,
The elder pounded his feet more loudly, sweating more and more, retreating to the wall of the house with his back against the open window. He fell out into the yard with a crash.
What's going on here?
Knower Merigold. We have received a report of a crime, or rather, several crimes. I am investigating the matter.
She turned around and saw 3 guards, one of whom seemed to be the commander because he was standing in front of the other 2 and holding a rolled-up piece of paper in his hands.
The knower? That's perfect. We've got a real bandit invasion here. I've told people to hide in their houses and not to go out unnecessarily. We're patrolling the area. So far, we've lost 3 people, but I'm afraid this is just the beginning. Any help will be appreciated.
Why are the bandits so determined to get to Bookworms? It's not like there are any manor houses there, and the only advantage it has is a wide, well-maintained road. A trade route connecting Sintra with Talbian.
I didn't ask about their motives, because we haven't been able to catch any of them.
What about killing? How many opponents have you defeated?
Clemens gestured for Merigold to follow him. Escorted by the guards, the girl looked like a criminal being led to the dungeon. To add some humor to the situation, she waved happily at the people huddled in their houses, peeking stealthily out of the windows. If she had more power, she would march surrounded by demons.
Unfortunately, none. The 3 people I mentioned have been reported missing. That's why the elder Lichtor decided to entrust me with the position. I have a vast experience in such cases.
In short, 3 residents of Bookworms have gone missing. The elder appointed you as the head of the guard to investigate the matter. No one saw the bandits, no one fought them, yet you ordered everyone to hide in their houses. Is that correct?
Exactly. As someone who investigates the case, you can help us find the kidnapped people or explain what happened to them.
The report was about your appointment and the illegal actions of the guards, not about the disappearance of 3 people. Nobody has informed us about it. Maybe you know why. It is your duty as a guard commander to notify the court about similar events, and I am sure that as a person with vast experience, you are well aware of it.
At first, Clemens was very surprised by Etienne's words. It was as if some important element in his plan had failed. In order not to spoil her fun, the woman decided not to use mind magic and to look for clues in the traditional way. Merigold also insisted on this, as finding evidence of the crime in the criminals' heads did not make it possible to close the investigation.
It's this house, the first victim. Please have a look around. We must have missed something.
It was hard not to suspect Clemens of lying, as there was a clear trail under the house window made by a person dragging something across the grass. Quite a heavy object, judging by the width and depth of the furrow. Without bothering to search the house, which might have been booby-trapped, Etienne followed the kidnappers' trail. The kidnappers made her task easier by dragging their victim through young wheat that had not grown back up, and also through mud, the streaks of which led to a mill. The mill wasn't working because there was no sound coming from it. However, it was guarded by 2 guards. Instead of sneaking up behind them, Etienne walked openly towards the stone stairs. She hoped that the guards would attack her because it would qualify for a noose, regardless of the activities in Bookworms itself.
Nor Merigold. I am looking for the missing.
They're not here. There's no one inside.
He had no weapon with him, nor did his colleague. They only had sticks to push away people trying to force their way in.
Then why are you standing by the door? Shouldn't you be protecting the residents from the bandits?
The commander ordered us to stand here. No one is allowed to enter the mill.
Etienne thought that 6 guards and the commander were too many for a medium-sized village. She hypnotized the men and approached the door. It was locked, so she cut a new entrance with her black sword. She noticed guards surrounding the building. She hadn't seen such a badly prepared ambush in a long time. She entered the building and almost immediately ran into the bound and gagged missing persons, who, after being freed, described how they had been abducted by the new guards brought by Clemens.
All that remains is to find out what Clemens is doing in your village. Run to the road leading to Sintra. We will meet there in about 2 hours.
Etienne repelled the frontal attack on the door with the help of the hypnotized guards. She laid down on the floor and sent poisonous ivy between the legs of the fighters.
Greens 1, guards 0.
Etienne announced cheerfully, as during the mage ball matches she refereed in the palace.
It remains to check the guardhouse. Wait here for me, okay?
Any attempts to answer were drowned out by the weeds tightly entwining the prisoners. Etienne found the missing evidence in the stone guardhouse, a list of caravans passing through bookworms with a description of the cargo. The nearest delivery was marked with a cross, and next to it was information about the transport of gemstones to a jeweler in Sintra. All that was left was to transport the bandits to the dungeon. Etienne came across the former commander of the guard, who was a little more sober, but still not able to walk straight under the watchtower. He was leaning on one of his colleagues who'd been freed from the stocks, while the other wrongfully imprisoned guard was leading the horses. As she watched the sun disappear behind the young wheat, Etienne wondered if she would make it to the city before the gates closed. She wondered if she would have time to inform Phineas of her first success.
I need a cart to take Clemens and his team to the prison.
With that, we are always happy to help. We were preparing to take over the village, but you got ahead of us.
We'll pick up the elder on the way. Tomorrow morning, you and the freed villagers must appear in the court to testify.
Only for the elder to accept material benefits. For his complicity in the planned robbery, Etienne did not find any evidence, but she hoped that the would-be accomplices would turn him in. Alternatively, he would be convicted of unlawful actions against the guards and of not informing Sintra's mayor of the situation. Merigold greeted Phineas, who was very surprised to see her in the court. The judge was afraid that the young woman had imprisoned all the guards on duty, abused her authority, and all this based on verbal complaints from the villagers. He felt responsible for any trouble that might come to the knower whom he had not properly inducted into the job, to whom he had not explained how to conduct an investigation. Before the judge could express his concerns, Merigold called out from the saddle.
First case solved. The villain Clemens bribed the elder, Lictor, to appoint him as the head of the guard. He made his accomplices into guards and put the real guardians of the law in stocks. He kidnapped 3 villagers to make the rumor of bandits roaming the area seem more believable.
You can't be serious.
Clemens was lying in wait for the gemstone transporters. There were 3 of them, so they didn't stand a chance in an open fight, hence the idea of posing as guards. To prevent the residents of Bookworms from interfering with the plan, Clemens intimidated them and punished those who disobeyed. I freed the kidnapped people and captured all the criminals. I asked the victims to appear in the court tomorrow morning.
She handed the accused over to the guards and sat down on the pavement. Only at that moment did she realize how tired she was. Phineas offered her his arm.
I'll walk you home. You did a great job. Thank you, Merigold.